How's it going, everyone? So Meta for the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S has redesigned its UI with some improvement features and reorganized some elements to make it more user-friendly. And so in today's video, I'm not only going to cover the new features that they added for the 3 as well as the 3S, but also show you how you can enable them. But I'll also provide timestamps for those who already watched my previous videos and you already have a solid understanding where these things are. So feel free to skip ahead to these timestamps you see on the screen. Now, for everybody else, welcome, as this is going to be the complete guide on first things you should do to get the most out of your VR headset, as well as some hidden features I've learned after using the Quest 3 headset. And as always, timestamps are also available for you guys in the description down below for your pleasure. Let's begin with the controller. Now with the controllers, these do have button shortcuts. Aside from your select button as well as the meta button, this one's powerful because if you like to take a screenshot in app or any menu, hold down the meta button as well as the trigger at the same time and that'll take a screenshot. You go through screen capture like this as well. By holding the meta button for a second and then releasing and pulling down the trigger for a second and release, it will automatically start screen recording. You'll see a red dot indicator on the top right corner indicating that it is indeed screen recording. Now, as for the lanyard, if you trust yourself enough, I do recommend at least knowing how to take this off. You see, by simply removing the battery cover, of course, this lanyard simply just slides up and it comes off just like so. Again, use this responsibly, but the reason why I like removing it and playing this way is due to the fact it makes the hands-free transition really easy. When you're using a controller and you like to switch to hand tracking, you just drop it without having to deal with this, which could take a little bit longer to transition from remote to hand tracking. Now, in terms of the headset, for the 3, underneath the 3, over here you have your IPD slider, and over here you have your volume rocker, and these are your dock station wireless charging terminals. Headphone jack, of course, is located right here, and your USB-C is used right here. And the IPD slider can be adjusted to the number you see right there on the screen. Now, if you have a 3S, underneath it's slightly different, as you have your volume rocker and a pass-through button. You could tap right here to transition from pass-through mode, and there's no audio jack, unfortunately. But to adjust your IPD slider, you simply just adjust it right here because you have 3 levels to choose from. But if you are one of those rare cases where your numbers is in the middle, if you move it slowly, you could actually lock it midway to 1, like that. And if you're still experiencing blurry imaging, there are third-party apps like this one that you see right here. This app is called iMeasure, and in real time will measure your IPD numbers right then and there, so in real time you'll be able to see your exact measurement. I'll include this app in the description down below, but it utilizes your Face ID hardware. But for the best visual clarity, I highly recommend picking up yourself a set of prescription lens. Because honestly, the best way to play VR is when you don't have bulky glasses in your VR headset. It'll prevent you from accidentally scratching your lens, because if one of these gets scratched, it's game over. You have to replace the entire headset. And the prescription lens I recommend is VR Waves, as these are the ones I personally like using, and these magnetically just attach on, which makes sharing this with friends, relatives, super easy, so you don't have to remove the entire housing. You simply just magnetically pop these out or put them back in. And I do have an exclusive promo code you can use to save yourself a little bit of money, because I have worked with them in the past, but nope, today's video is not sponsored by them. This is just an accessory I personally use on my headset and I highly recommend. It's just like this sticker right here. In case you're curious where I got these from, I'll also have that in the description down below. But now, before I put on the headset and talk about more additional stuff, if you enjoy these no sponsorship integrated ad videos, be sure to let me know by hitting that like button a like, because I like to keep my videos powered by you guys, the viewer, not integrated ads and such. So if you also agree, hit that like button, and subscription, not mandatory, but that wouldn't hurt either. So without further ado, let's go behind the scenes and put on this headset. Before I do, however, I do want to say one thing. The lens, do not expose these to any sunlight, because the smallest UV rays is known to cause these things to be permanently damaged. So yes, you may have seen some of your favorite content creator, I'm guilty of doing it, using these VR headset outdoors. What we typically do, go under shade, place it on, and then we walk outdoors to prevent the lens from making direct contact to the sun. So keep that away from the sun to prevent your headset from getting permanently damaged. So starting our screen record like I showed you earlier by long pressing the meta button and releasing and long pressing the trigger button for 1 or 2 seconds, it'll start recording. But this is basically the new layout. It's very similar to the previous generation where you can always open up browsers and you look down here at this little white bar that's moving around. You can hold on to it and move it and attach it to the 3 windows that Meta has selected for us. And then if you don't want to be a part of this, you can always just move it around like so, release, and it'll stay right there. And if you look closely on it, on this top portion right here, those 4 arrows outside a box outline, if you select this, you'll enter in this immersive mode I'll describe. And underneath this little browser, you'll see these additional tools where you can select between exit pass-through mode, where you enter into this passive mode. But if we look back in this little toolbar, you have the ability to undo it, to exit this theater mode, or adjust the dimmer. When you adjust the dimmer, you have this ability to go completely dark, or have it like somewhat in the middle to give you that immersive feeling. You may also do this in the actual like world environment and like mix it together. Ideal if you're watching like a movie. Exiting out of here, you can also flatten the screen if you don't like a curved display. And if you're viewing something in 3D on your web browser, you could change between 2D, 3D, or 3D top/bottom. You do have additional 3D options here if it's supported. Ideal when you're watching like YouTube videos. And it's a browser you'll be typically using if you want to watch YouTube videos, Netflix, go on Reddit, Hulu, or play some free web-based VR games on here as well. But exiting out of here, if the screen is too big for you, you can always click on it on the little white bar underneath the toolbar menu. You can bring it closer or move it out to make it smaller. Now unfortunately you do have to manually pick it up and then move it forward or move your controller away from you just to actually adjust the size. And of course you have your notification tab, which is new. Very similar to our smartphone, you could just see your notifications and as well as clear all. If you select the gear icon, you also have the ability to silence some of these notifications individually or enter do not disturb mode. Another way to enter do not disturb mode is by clicking on the quick setting task menu right here, and you'll find a bunch of your control center like shortcuts in this menu, which will let you monitor the battery life percentage of your headset, the date and time, as well as your Meta virtual voice assistant. You'll be able to access Meta AI from here. And just like a smartphone, you could adjust the screen brightness. Volume can also be adjusted here. Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth settings, quick link, boundary. In travel mode, highly recommend enabling this if you're about to be on a fast moving vehicle. But make sure you turn this on before the vehicle starts moving. And this is how you can maintain like your seating position without your apps moving around as the vehicle accelerates and decelerates. A couple of tips and tricks that I'd like to show you. If we enter our environment mode that we're in, exit out of here, and I go all the way on top, let's select YouTube. And now let's select a new tab. And I want it to be Instagram as an example. And if you like to, let's also include Netflix while we're at it. So by clicking on the tab, you could actually free move it to one of these like dedicated spots right here. But if you like to open up more than just 3, if you open up another tab, let's do YouTube again. Click and long hold it to one of these, right? When you have it snapped on one of these 3 ones, you can also click on the tab on the bottom to move it around and drop another one in and give yourself a lot of window space like you see me do right here. And this also works on some Meta apps as well. If we open up our app library and we go on our applications, and let's say we want the dedicated Instagram as well. By selecting the bar over here, we can also continue to move it to the side. And if we attach this onto like the wall, anchor it on, anchor somewhat does work now. You close this, anchor this over here, snap this over here, and we start moving around. To the most part, it will stay as we walk back. And then of course by long holding the meta button on your controller, we'll recenter everything. But if you like to watch something as you're moving around, just long hold the little bar. And if we play like a video or something, you can literally just walk around with it while viewing your content. And then once you're at a place you like to stop, just leave it there. So that's one little trick you could do to watch something as you're moving around. And then while we have our videos spread out, if you select on the app that has a little dot icon on the bottom, and you select the app name, the window that you want to select, you can also bring it back over here as well. But if we hit play and move the window out somewhere and do the same process again and select that window, we have quick control options right here, like a podcast. And if you click on the name, it will appear right in front of us. But then if you look closely on the edge, you can also resize it as well. When some of these windows, if you resize it, it will turn into the mobile version or the desktop version automatically. And you can adjust the size to your own personal preference. But if you like to enable picture-in-picture, you can somewhat do it, but it doesn't really work as you may think. So here's picture-in-picture. By selecting here, the little window will pop up on the side. It just doesn't work like window through window, unfortunately, because it only stays in that one single window page. But now if you want to watch like a YouTube video while you're playing your meta games, or a podcast in the background on the YouTube app or a different website, you can always play the video. I'm going to hit pause, go into my meta app library, and launch like a meta game. So here we are on Pressure Washer Simulator. By tapping on the meta button on your controller, if you go back to your browser and we select on the video we like to watch or listen to while we play games, you go hit play, select the meta button, and you can listen to your video as you're playing games. And if that multitasking audio feature isn't working while you're in the game, you do need to go in your settings to enable this and go down into the experimental tab, just right here, advanced tab, I'm sorry. Click on here, scroll down, and enabled seamless multitasking. And that's how you can play games, be in an app, and listen to videos, or respond to chat, or even do other stuff while multitasking while playing a VR game. And notice how the captions are actually playing on my screen. You can always go into the quick settings and disable auto captions. So if we hop into our settings on this menu and we scroll down to accessibility, in the hearing tab, where it says live captions, this is where you go in and enable this. If you like your live captions to automatically be generated whenever it hears a subject speaking. But of course, on your control center, you'll be able to enable it or disable it from here as well. So that's how you can play games and listen to your podcast or some music as you're gaming. But now, exiting out of this, if you like to customize your environment, you can find it in the settings. Go into environment setup, virtual environment. Let's go ahead and enable it by hitting the goggle icon real quick. You can select between all these other ones that is available from Meta to choose from. Some of these are very relaxing, like this one, Lakeside Peak. So definitely do spend time here and find one that you like. And there's also ways you can download like third-party ones like this Rick and Morty one. I'll include a reference video on how to do that. It does require a little bit of side loading to get this up and running. But back on Lakeside Peak, if we go back to our environment setup page, if you see like a mirror or a little rocket ship over here and you don't like it, you like to disable it like I have, you can do that here as well by selecting the interactive objects tab. This is where you could go in and enabled or disabled these things, like the Meta Horizon portal. And then in boundary, you can customize it. So, if you step outside the boundary line, it turns that outline color. You could customize it to these 3 different color choices if you wanted to be yellow instead. And if you need to adjust your boundary on the go, you could adjust the floor level if it's off, the room scale, sensitivity. If you don't like the lines to constantly pop up, you could always select advanced. And this is where you go in and adjust it. If you don't want it to be too sensitive, if you want to adjust the sensitivity, you have the ability to adjust it to your own personal preference right here. So simple has been working fine for me. But you can also adjust the sensitivity over here where it says low and high. But if you need to create a new boundary, you could do it in the boundary tab, or you can select boundary over here and it'll walk you through the entire setup procedure as you already are well familiar with. Now I did mention that you can enter pass-through mode by simply just entering pass-through mode from the toolbar. But on the 3 and the 3S, if you tap on both the right side or the left side twice, environment mode, as well as pass-through mode just by a simple tap on the side of your headset. Now with the 3S, you can also press that little hot button underneath the headset, that shortcut. But if for whatever said reason it's not working for you, back in the setting tab, if you go into the environment setup, in the pass-through tab, this is where you can enable double tap for pass-through. So turn that on if you like to double tap the right or the left side headset to automatically toggle it. And of course you can override it by simply just enabling it from here as well. And then still in the environment setup, space setup, this is where you go in and manage some of your saved boundaries you've created in. So like game room, you could go in and delete some of these or set up a new one from here or clear your space entirely. So this way you could rescan the entire room in case something's buggy. Now while I'm screen recording, if you like to change the camera resolution, you can always just go back into the setting tab and scroll down to camera. In the camera, on the very top, you'll see Sync Media to Meta Horizon app. Highly recommend enabling that so everything synchronizes via cloud, so you can download it on your phone without having to plug this into your headset, export the file that way. Here is where you can change the aspect ratio if you wanted 1:1 like a square Instagram post, landscape for like YouTube, portraits will be ideal for like TikTok style videos. So you can change the aspect ratio from here. And if you're using an external microphone, you can also adjust the audio mixer, as you could do the app as well as the microphone audio separately. And down here is where you can also adjust the stabilization image, again with the aspect ratio. But you could change the FPS recording rate as well as increase the megabit. The higher the megabit, the more detail, but the more storage it will take up. The lower the megabit, less storage, less detail on your screen recording. Personal preference, but I highly recommend using 20 megabits per second, especially if you have a lot of available storage on your headset. And of course, quick shortcut to open up the camera app can be located here as well. And if you like to record your screen recordings and include microphone, start the screen recording on the camera app, and here you can enable the built-in mic or an external microphone. And keep in mind, whenever you're recording in the real world like I have right here, this will be captured in spatial audio. Same goes for your photos too. If you capture photos on here, it also supports spatial photos as well. Back in the settings, in the Meta AI tab, this is where you can adjust the voice to a different AI voice. If you don't like the current one that it has by default, you could change it with a high, bright tone sounding one. You could preview it here as well. But we exit out of there. You can also change the wake up word if you like it to be these phrases you see on the screen. Or you could double tap the Meta button twice and the Meta AI virtual voice system will pop up. Now, as for game sharing, if you have a lot of games on your VR headset like I do, and you like to game share with friends or family that are in your same household, on the very top where you see your profile name, on the bottom where it says profiles, add their profile information, give the headset to them, let them log in. But here where it says share apps, you can enable it so any profile that's logged in on this account will be able to have access to all your purchase apps that this headset has installed. Just make sure you have this bottom portion enabled, and it only works for one account per one headset. And that's how you can easily game share on this. Then as for Wi-Fi, if you don't want to enter the Wi-Fi password on your app or here manually on the headset, your friend could also just bring up a QR code on their phone, and you can just line it up and scan that QR code to quickly connect to Wi-Fi. Now in devices, this is where you can monitor all those devices that are paired, including the stylus. But where it says keyboard, this is one of the new features. Keyboard tracking is now available, where by enabling this, whenever your headset looks at a keyboard, it will automatically identify it. And as soon as you get your hands closer to the keyboard, it will automatically open wide so you can see what you're pressing. So if you have a Windows PC or you're using Workspace, you can monitor your desktop display on your headset and work while using your VR headset as the monitor. So if you have a Windows 11 computer, you can always go into the Meta store and just search up Windows and just download the Windows app, which is free to use and free to download. And this will walk you through the entire procedure on linking it to your Windows PC for your headset. So that's one great way to utilize a virtual keyboard. Now, when it comes to hand tracking, I highly recommend launching the hand tracking app first, as this is a great tutorial that'll walk you through the entire hands-on procedure on everything you need to know. The app is called Use Hands in VR. By launching this app, it will walk you through everything, including the many different menus, how to activate it. If we set our controllers down, it'll tell you exactly like how to scroll. So basically just pinch to scroll with the dot that you see on your screen. And when it comes to windows, you could physically just go right next to them and move it around like you see me do right here. You could let go to attach it somewhere as well. So after you're done with that tutorial, you could actually physically just tap on the app or on these icons you see on your screen and open them like so. Because another thing I like to show you is for hand tracking, if we go into the movement tracking tab, I recommend leaving hand and body tracking enabled. Automatic switch between controllers and hand whenever you place your controller on a flat surface. And the double tap controller for hand tracking enable as well, because this is a great way to overwrite your controllers if hand tracking isn't working. When you place your controllers downstairs, if you tap two controllers together, it will quickly switch from controllers to hand tracking on demand. And if you feel the sensitivity is to transition between the controller isn't sensitive enough, you can change it to high or low to your own personal preference. But where it says quick actions, by enabling this will give you access to a different menu. Or you could long hold and have access to this type of menu instead of what I was showing you earlier. So by having that menu enabled, if you long hold, you have these quick shortcuts to choose from, including pass-through mode, menu, meta AI, recenter, and to quickly have access to it, you just let go. And that's how you can select between them. I like that menu because if you have this turned off, it'll give you the standard meta long hold to recenter everything. So this expandable quick action menu, in my opinion, is probably the best options. And if you like to switch the meta button from your right to be on your left button, you can actually swap it. So now my select is on my right and my meta is on my left. But now let's switch back to our controllers. If you have any color blindness, you can always go in the accessibility tab and select vision, because now there's more text profile options available for you. As not only can you adjust the text size if you need it to be larger or smaller, you can also adjust the contrast, and you can enable color correction, and you can select between these different profiles that they have available if you're more of a yellow and bluish colorblind. Then underneath that, you see display and brightness. In display and brightness, you can also enable night shift, which will give basically everything you're viewing like a nice warm tint. And display tone, you can select between light mode or dark mode. Personal preference here. And then underneath that, the same thing I was showing you in the accessibility for vision. In the audio tab, this is where you enable the spatial audio for Windows that I was showing you earlier. Whenever you capture video or are watching a video that supports spatial audio, enable this. It will give you that spatial audio immersion. And notification sound, you can turn that off or leave it on if you want it. And then if you'd like to add a passcode to your VR headset, in the passcode and security, this is where you go in to enable passcode requirement for unlocking your headset, save password, or lock apps in general. And you can just create one on top here. Very self-explanatory. Now in the advanced, this is where you can find some advanced beta features, such as the Meta AI for your headset. This is where you go and enable that if it's not working for you. Pair to PC with Microsoft Mixed Reality Link. You can also enable an external microphone by plugging it into the USB-C port that exists on the headset. And swipe to type, which basically is this. The thing that we've seen on our smartphones. You can also do it with hand tracking as well. But an experimental feature I do recommend enabling is use app while laying down. This will enable basically if you're laying down in bed, you just want to play app games, VR games, while you're stationary, enable that. It will automatically pop up as an option whenever you launch the app. Now if you like your hands to show an outline whenever you're using pass-through mode, I do recommend enabling this as it's easier to navigate. But where it says wrist meta buttons, by enabling this, if we put our controller back down, we now have meta buttons right here. You could just tap to have quicker access versus the little pinch I was showing you earlier. I kind of prefer the other menu. So realistically, Meta does give us 3 menu options for hand tracking. Now, if you like to enable a calorie counter, like I have down here, it shows me my active calories count. you need to simply go into your app library and just go ahead and look for the Move app. By launching this will basically walk you through the entire setup procedure, and you can monitor the calories that you burn, how many times you moved, and your weekly goal. But if we go into settings, on the top where it says in-game overlay, right now I have it set to the bottom. I can also select it so it shows me the stats whenever I look up on my headset. Or if you want, you can also go in Control Center and disable it so they don't show up, but it still is tracking, and just re-enable it whenever you want to see the overlay. And if whatever said reason you need to do an update on your personal goal and stuff, you can always go back into settings and readjust certain things. You can also connect it to the Horizon app as well, so everything is synchronized. And now you can actually track and compete with friends as well, as you can add your friends. They like to be a part of this, and just request share stats, so both of you guys could compete and monitor who's slacking and who's not. As well as you got past history as it dialogues everything, and it will also show you how many calories you burn on certain apps. Now, although there's no way to have notifications from your phone sync with the Meta headset like they used to be, by simply going in pass-through mode and picking up your phone, you'll be surprised how clear it is to see your phone mobile display. You may just need to adjust the brightness a little bit, but it's pretty clear, as you can see right here. This is all thanks to the latest update for the Quest. And then you see the outlines of my hand. That's what the hand outline does in real time. As the hand tracking, that's a very good job on speed tracking, but also predicament movement as well. If you have a plethora of many different like random apps that you don't have like installed on your headset, but it's just taking up space, like you see right here, I have a couple apps that I know I'm never going to play. Some of these were demos I really don't have, I already own, and I don't even need this taking up space on my library. By tapping the little dot icon on over here, not only can you lock these apps with a passcode, but you can select hide and then enable don't show this again. And then now that game will never show up on my menu. If you like to re-enable it, you have to go into the library store and re-download it to make it reappear if you want to reverse that. So yes, we finally have the ability to finally go in here and hide some of these apps that we don't even have installed. It's just taking up space. Then while downloading like an app, if you download like another app as an example, if you like to prioritize one app versus the other, just go ahead and click on it, and then it will download now, so you can prioritize the correct app you want to download first. I'm going to cancel that one. And I'm also going to hide this because, again, I have the main game right here. And then a new update from here is everything is even more organized, as you have your Horizon World apps separate from your app library, as well as your Meta Plus games if you're subscribed to it. And if you like to collapse that, you can hide it even more so you have more apps on your row. But we don't have the ability to rearrange it, but you can drop some of these apps and rearrange it down here to like reorganize these apps. You could also put, so basically you could put your favorite apps down here if you like. And these are your recent, very similar to like an iPad. Now for your game backups, by hopping in settings and go in general and go to cloud backup, this is where you go in and manually select a certain game if you like to manually back it up in case you notice it's not backing up through the cloud automatically. So cloud backup is supported and it's free. You don't have to have a subscription or anything like that. It's like Quest Plus. And if you like to add an encryption, you can also do that too if you really want to. But this is where you go in and double check you have cloud backup enabled in case you have multiple VR headsets or maybe something's wrong with your headset. At least this way you don't have to start completely over on an app that you had to download and reinstall. Now let's launch the Meta Horizon app. So here it is. It's recently redesigned with a new updated name as well. And everything is pretty standard. Up here will be your rows of friends. Right below there will be app suggestions, as well as your For You page on future apps or games to download, and the entire basically game store. And then down here will be your profile, which will be like another For You page basically, where you could go in and edit your creepy looking avatar. I know they recently updated it. It still looks weird in my opinion. But you could change your apparel. You can see your Facebook as well as your Instagram. and some of your past achievements down here as well. And then you got search, which will allow you to search the App Store, games, people, and they say more, but I don't know what else you could search here that's more. But the important tools are actually found on top here, because this little shop icon allows you to switch between other Quest devices you may have. So if you want to see what the Rift store has or the old school Oculus Go, you can swap between stores. But the one with the icon with the like Wi-Fi waves, this allows you to get quick access to your Quest 3 or add a new Quest headset, as well as monitor your battery percentage. And then on the very bottom, you can see your warranty as well if you have warranty questions. But all the settings you can find on the Quest 3, you can quickly adjust here on the app so long as the headset is powered on. Like you can change Wi-Fi, connect to different controllers, accessibility settings, advanced settings. Basically the majority of important settings on the Quest 3, you can also adjust it right here and change between different Wi-Fis. But if we select on it one more time, where it says cast, by selecting here, this will connect your phone to the app, and then anything that the headset sees while you're wearing it, let me go ahead and put this on real quick. You should be able to see what I'm seeing through the headset. So if you're trying to cast everything that your friend is seeing on your device, you can log into your Meta account, download the app for Android, iPad, or an Android tablet, and you can see everything your friend sees from here. The beauty about this is that you can start recording or take pictures from here as well. But if you tap one more time, if it's a newcomer, you could tap on where it says launch tutorial Meta Quest first step, and it will guide them through everything that they need to know to get familiar with the VR headset if it's their first time. But right here, you can also recenter their screen for them, as well as reset the Guardian. And you can mute their device from here as well if you don't want to echo. But where it says apps, if they're having a hard time launching certain apps, you could launch it right here for them. So all the games are installed on the Quest 3. You could launch it right here. Well, most of them. I noticed it doesn't show all of them, unfortunately. Hopefully a patch will fix that. Before it used to allow you to do that. But where it says mirror to the device, this is where you could go in and select OK, as it will give you this bigger screen point of view. Because now what you need to do is go into Control Center and look for display mirroring. So long as you have a device that supports it, like an Apple TV or even a Chromecast, select the device you like to cast your phone to the big screen, and then just exit out of there and go back to this screen, as everything that's being cast to the phone is now being cast to the bigger screen. So if you have a large party and you like to share what they're seeing on the big screen, you could just cast it off your mobile device to the TV now. And then to exit out of that, you could just exit to stop casting, or they could do it on the headset as well. But now if you don't have access to a Chromecast or an Apple TV, don't panic. So long as you have a computer, you can use a URL to stream it and cast it from the Quest 3 to a bigger screen. You'll find it on the camera app, which is basically the gallery app. And on the top left, select cast, and then this page will pop up. Select the computer option, and then it will prompt you with a URL to enter. So long as you're in the same Wi-Fi connection as the Quest 3, you can stream it to your computer free of charge. But now rotating the phone back to normal, notifications, as well as your recent messages from people you game with. But now if you like to see all the screen recording and stuff like that, just go ahead and go into your profile, tap this little menu icon above here. And from here you can see like Quest events, your save events. No, like by events, I mean like upcoming events of games you may have downloaded. They usually have like a community post. It'll keep it all organized right there for you. You can manage your device, but where it says gallery, this is where you can go in and manually download all the photos and stuff you have captured. So long as you have the sync meta photo and video enabled on the headset I was showing you earlier. You can save it to your mobile device physically. And then in library, you'll manage all your games from here as well as manually update the ones that need to be updated through the headset. Moves, you can monitor your calories that you burned as well. And then your cloud backups, this is basically instructions how you can actually add encryption. Meta Plus is right here. You can manage your membership here or start your 1 month free trial, which will give you access to a bunch of random games that get added monthly. And then once you install it, you have them. Think of this like PlayStation Plus back in the day. Very similar to that. You can see the cost for a monthly or annual, which is $60. And then your redemption codes, if you have some redemption codes, you could just enter it right here. But the cool one is the referral link. By going into your referral, if you know a friend who's planning on buying a VR headset, just share your referral link and you each will earn $30 and can stack them up annually up to $600 every year. And you just tap redeem. This way your friend has $30 free in-store credit. They can use it towards a purchase of any game and you will also get $30. If you don't have one to use, I'll have mine in the description down below just in case. And then in promotions, you'll find the same referral thing I was telling you. So for a headset, you'll each earn $30, and for every app or game they install, you'll earn $5 each. It's free money, so I definitely do recommend using the referral code if you can. And subscription, if you have any in-game subscriptions, this is where you go in and actually monitor that and end it, just like our smartphones nowadays. Purchase history, self-explanatory. And then display, here we can switch between light mode or dark mode, or set to the different dark mode setting on your phone. Personal preference. Pretty cool that they gave us that, a little bit of customization. And for supervision, parental controls, select on supervision, and here you can set it up if you have little ones. So you monitor like how much time they're spending on VR and who they follow, as well as block certain games and access, as well as age restrict some of the games as well for them. And if you ever set up the pin code on your VR headset, you can restore it from here in case you forget it. And then here it allows you to delete all your like metadata if you're planning on deleting your entire Facebook account, and sign out. And just like that, you are now a pro when it comes to using your Quest Meta headset to its full potential, and you know all the ins and outs to really get the best VR enjoyment out of that headset. Again, links to all the accessories as well as the stickers and stuff you saw on my VR headsets will be all in the description down below for you. But if you like a more complete guide on all the accessories I'm running on my Quest 3S, as well as my Quest 3, I cover it all in this video over there. Thank you so much for watching.